agreed my views with now liberal message from such a liberal politologist like me, Armin Akhmedjan. Actually, today I want to cover the certain international issues that require acute attention on part of um, uh, most progressive public. I believe that mm, human rights in Russia are being violated. For instance, right to freedom of speech being violated by Russian information law, which has been actually published in 1993, and still in action, in Russia. This information law actually prohibits Russian journalists to criticize Russian government or threat of immediate closure of their news editions, after three consecutive warnings on part of Russian Ministry of Information. A number of journalists, like hundreds of Russian journalists, have been attacked, assaulted, and murdered, assassinated in one way or another by terrorists, and I believe that still the Russian government prohibits freedom of speech, prohibits criticism of Russian government on part of its journalists, and it's outrageous, And in the second, Russia prohibits travel abroad to people who owe taxes, back taxes, or let's say, or taken borrowed money, from private lenders, they actually prohibited to travel abroad. And this is outrageous violation of human rights, because freedom to travel is an unalienable human right. And actually, but the recent law been adopted by a Russian politician in Duma, Russian parliament, the Russian parliament. It actually gives another bright example that Russia is sliding back to its nationalist past, of the Soviet Union. But actually, adoption of Russian children by American parents is being strictly prohibited by Russian parliament, Duma. It's been banned, actually, adoption of Russian orphans by American parents. Well, about 60,000 Russian orphans have been adopted by American parents for the last 10 years. And actually, only 19 of them have perished, according to the Moscow Times, information from Moscow Times. No. The Moscow Times, you can read it at themoscowtimes.com, and actually at this source of information. But I believe that this is an act of Cold War, and I believe that Cold War actually against America, on part of Russian nationalists, like other nationalists like Vladimir Zhirinovsky from Liberal Democratic Party, is a shame. It's a disgrace to Russian politics, to target American parents, well, they know that vast majority, American parents are decent and caring people. They wouldn't hurt a child. But nevertheless, Russian legislators target American potential American parents by adopting this really unfair and human rights violating legislation, ban on adoptions by American nationals. And this is actually human rights violating legislation adopted in Russian Duma. Harms interests of Russian children. And even Russian President Vladimir Putin has recently verbally mentioned that he would pay 100,000 rubles or 3,000 equivalent of 3,300 US dollars to any potential parent who would adopt a Russian orphan. Well, actually, there was no clear indication of any presidential bills or decrees been signed by Russian President Vladimir Putin from United Russia Party. Well, actually, with hearsay statement by the Russian president, demagoguery, by Russian president, liberal demagoguery, by Russian president Vladimir Putin, is still is not a proof that Russian official would follow his liberal demagoguery without any presidential bill or decree to back it up, to back up those liberal promises. And I firmly believe that but actually human rights violations such as those actually ban on adoption of Russian children by American parents, by American parents, should be we should be rescinded, should be cancelled, and actually because in order to uphold the interests of those Russian orphans, first of all, because Russian Park mostly ignores the interests of those orphans, and very few of them get adopted. And nowadays, if Russian President Vladimir Putin decided to engage to sign a ban on adoptions by American parents, it's a sign of a Cold War in progress. And I believe this is horrible, because Cold War is about violating human rights by oppressive and repressive legislation. He signed the repressive legislation and did it, next time very so willfully that I believe that Russian President Vladimir Putin is actually a nationalist, because he doesn't care about children, and he actually made a few hearsay statements that he would make about payments to victims of those flooding in the Russian southern Russia, in the Crimea area, but he didn't sign any presidential bill for status, in order to back up his liberal promises. So sometimes President Vladimir Putin just limits himself to the demagoguery, to fishy demagoguery, and give these promises that are unlikely to be fulfilled, implemented, without him signing presidential bill. Otherwise, his liberal promises are not worth much. Only signing that presidential decree or bill would actually make those promises a reality, will implement those liberal promises. Well, so that as human rights in Russia are being violated by Russian nationalists, mostly United Party Russia and alternative Vladimir Zhirinovsky, who promised to bomb United States with nuclear weapons once, as he actually is a vulgar alternationalist and neo-Nazi. And I believe that if Russian Duma follows the suit, of those alternationalists like Vladimir Zhirinovsky, and decided to steal the opportunity of Russian orphans to get adopted, it's not a sign that it means that Russia are going down back to a nationalist era of the Soviet Union, where actually any kind of immigration of Russian citizens abroad will be strictly prohibited, or visits abroad too. So it's now a step towards isolation of Russia, and unfortunately, Russian government shows next time that Russia slides back to the isolationist realities of former repressive Soviet Union government. Actually, now I want to return from that theme of ban on adoption of Russian orphaned by American parents to actually French invasion in Mali. French invasion in Mali is actually very dubious and neo-colonialist, I believe, aggression, because socialist government of French President Hollande actually is responsible for this imperialist aggression, which is a pleasant surprise for me. as I expected French President Hollande, to do something for workers, to improve, to create more jobs, or raise tax against the wealthy, and uh, to build more social housing, but affordable housing. But that kind of aggression abroad, in Mali, is a sad sign of it. French politicians still engage in imperialist politics, and I don't believe that France has any interest in deciding who's gonna run Mali. Even there are Islamist rebels in Mali, it's only United Nations that can actually mandate invasion of foreign troops into a sovereign country, because otherwise this invasion is illegal, and well, actually more fighting in Mali will bring more casualties, and African countries can invade maybe Mali if they want to help fellow countrymen, African countrymen, to fight rebels, but because their organization of African states, actually mandated that invasion, for instance, of Chad troops, but French troops actually have some neo-colonialist past, and colonial, it's in the colonial past, and the neo-colonialist politics of invasion actually makes France like trying to return to its former colonial domains, and I believe that French people shouldn't waste their resources, on invasion in Mali. They need that money to give working poor in their own country, to improve social welfare in their own country, I believe, and will find good usage of that money inside their own country. But actually, that kind of invasion should be supported by American government, because American government shouldn't actually get involved, I believe, in Mali. It's only Chad government, the Chad troops who may get involved if they want to, but I don't believe that American help to Mali through where it's based in the state of Niger will actually will bring peace in Mali, or actually improve state of affairs in Mali, because Mali rebels will fight, because especially hard, especially against foreign invaders, and then actually I believe that they actually have a right to decide their own like internal problems with their own governments, but they wouldn't need help from outside. And actually, yeah, a good idea for French government if they withdraw their troops as soon as possible from Mali and allow African troops, to invade Mali, like they are already doing by Chad soldiers, and Chad soldiers will do all those heavy job. If you want to help fellow African countrymen, it's an our method, but white French soldiers actually shouldn't get involved in internal strife in Africa. Well, what I'm sure, especially if no French interests are involved in Mali. There are no French interests in Mali, but been actually whose welfare was endangered, and I believe that French government should actually be satisfied by withdrawing the troops from Mali and stopping this neo-colonialist aggression. Also, want to pay attention to sequestration politics United States. As you all remember, American government decided to engage in sequestration politics. America cut to about 700,000 federal jobs, federal employees of payroll, which fully probably corresponds to Republican dogma of making government smaller. Well, actually, if actually you can't afford to keep all 750,000 federal employees at work, that's it. It means I'm not short out of money, but I don't know how we're gonna solve this problem of sequestration. If US President Obama wants to solve the problem of sequestration, avert sequestration altogether, he should actually take urgent measures, to sign the legislation, to sign a decree or bill, a presidential bill to actually to amend sequestration, to raise taxes, and increase income of federal government. But he should actually do that before March 1st, so that sequestration wouldn't become a reality, harsh reality. Well, actually, if you have any feedbacks, write to my address, freeliber@offline.net. Civilized, I believe, cultural responses, most informative, so we could discuss certain issues which are most important to my viewers, and or call me on my cell number 323-445-1600. If you want to ask me to give coverage to certain issues to me, call on my cell number.
And you must welcome to leave any comments of your choosing. Preferably, of course, the comments would make sense and would be more informative and more civilized and would provoke discussion and will actually should be able to debate all those issues on a cultural and civilized level.